Welcome to the weekly Captain's Corner. We are back. Today we are talking about transitional housing. And if you are new to the Captain's Corner, we are here live every Monday. And this is your place to get informed about first steps to recovery and how we help to create healthy and safe communities. Let's welcome our captain. Hey, Kath.
Ahoy there, everybody. And we have a special guest here for a minute that you didn't know about, Kirsten.
Oh.
So, for everybody, this is Scout.
Hi, Scout.
He is the harbor hound. And he's driving me crazy because he's a puppy, but I love him. And yeah, everybody should know that this is how we're getting through the days at the harbor. I take him down to the harbor once in a while and into everybody loves a puppy, right? So he's worth having around. Makes everybody smile.
What is he? What kind of breed?
He's a mini, he's a schnoodle. And that's a schnauzer and a mini poodle. So he only weighs like 4 pounds, which is really cool. And he's a pretty good little cuddler, but he is like totally a puppy, and he eats everything. And yeah, it's worse than a baby, because at least a baby you can put somewhere and they stay put for a good year or so before they can get moving around, but not him. Yeah, so that's Scout.
Awesome. Hi, Scout.
The harbor hound. Say ahoy, ahoy. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Kath. So for everyone who's new, if you have any questions, comments, please put them in the chat, because we are here live and we can answer them. And if you watch the replay, please put the questions and comments in the chat so that we can reply. So our topic for today is transitional housing. And you might or might not have read last week, there was an announcement that Council approved a pilot project. And we want to talk about this today. Kath, can you give us
I thought people would be interested to know what that meant, and not just for the pilot project, but how it fits in the broader spectrum of the housing plan, and just a little, some clarity on that, because I noticed those poor new counselors were having a tough time wrapping their heads around the different acronyms, and okay, it's this housing plan and this strategy and this. It's a lot of information to take in, and I thought the community may be just looking for that clarity too. So thought, yeah, we're happy that council made the decision to start moving on these initiatives and providing that support, and not just for the transitional housing piece, but also they were committed to advocating for the permanent supported housing that we desperately need in this community. And as we go on, I will explain to you the differences on those programs and how it all works. And we have a really cool graphic to show you that the city of Red Deer built in collaboration with the community. And it's a good visual to help understand all of that. So Kirsten's going to screen share that, and we're going to take a look at it. You got it? Yes. There, first mate. There it is. So can we make it bigger, Kirsten? Or can we put down that one side?
Can I put only this up? So now we are gone, but it's
but that bigger. Looks good. Maybe do a little bit more.
I don't think I can.
Okay, then that looks good. And so if we take you right at the bottom of that page and you see the road, right? This is the whole idea, to show the roadmap that people are on, or may not be on, as they start to maybe experience homelessness, at risk of experiencing homelessness, or already are experiencing homelessness. So people are on that road. You'll see an arrow that veers to the left, and there's a green box right beside it that says diversion. And that is the part of the enhancement we're doing in our shelter services now is we're trying hard to have staff who are focused just on housing in the shelter, so that when Buddy comes to the door, we are assessing right away where he is in terms of his housing. And is he someone we can divert from shelter? Is there another spot that might be better for him than to come into shelter? Or still, while he's in shelter, we're going to take a look at the rest of this road with him and determine where he might best fit on it. And we have people to help with that. So you'll see on the wide part of the road, it says coordinated entry, it says assertive outreach and engagement, and it says standardized assessment. So what happens there? Safe Harbor is part of a broader agency collaborative that have been working on housing together for years. And we own the piece that is referred to as coordinated entry. So what that means is I have staff working on that team who will come to the shelter, or due to COVID, sometimes we've had to do some of this work over the phone, but whenever they can, to be at the shelter and talking to people, and then providing them with an assessment. And that's based on a whole bunch of different criteria. Certainly, we're looking to see what acuity people are at. So we refer to that as low, mid, or high acuity. And as people are being assessed, they're going to fit into one of those three areas, or maybe halfway between two of them, or whatever. But we're going to get a good look at what they need. And that helps us just to ensure that we're getting the person to the right spot, rather than setting them up for failure, for instance, if they're not quite ready for mainstream housing, right? So that explains that coordinated entry part. The prevention arrow that you see going to the right, that all of that work is also being done in collaboration with that housing, the agencies that are working on housing. And they are working more on preventing people who may be at risk of experiencing homelessness. If they are homeless for the very first time, maybe they may be in a better spot to house really quick than others who may have higher acuity. So there is a group of people there working on those prevention programs. Then let's get back to the middle of the road. You'll see those 5 arrows going up, suggesting we're getting better, we're getting what we need. You see there's a little emergency shelter bus stop there. And of course, that is there to be able to provide a safe place to people as they wait for their housing options to become available. So here they've been assessed. The team has an idea of where they need to go. And then you'll see there are different housing options. So we have rapid rehousing. I can't read that second one.
I can read it. It's in intensive case management.
Yeah. Okay. And then permanent supported housing, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And then mainstream housing?
No, transitional housing,
No,
youth.
transitional housing. Okay, good. So because we're humans, we need a variety of options. And as I said before, those assessments help us determine where people might fit. So rapid rehousing, as the name suggests, are people who maybe just need a little hand with filling out some paperwork or getting their money, their finances for rent and deposit, or just easy little one-offs. They don't need a lot of support, but they do need some. And so we have a team working with the people who are assessed that will fit that realm. And they can typically get right into mainstream housing. So that is, I love the name rapid rehousing. I wish it could be that fast for all of them, but we're working towards it. Yes. So the intensive case management, then, that harkens back to what I was saying about low, mid, or high acuity needs, right? So there's people that, well, actually, I'm not going to go in order of these green signs. Okay, you guys. So pretend I didn't say that about intensive case management yet, because I'm going to say it again in a different spot. I'm going to talk about how transitional housing fits right here in the conversation, because I had just told you about the rapid rehousing guys. Now, the transitional housing guys, those are people that are in our shelters, maybe Mustard Seed or Safe Harbor, that are assessed as low to mid acuity. And there are, so what they require, or what may help them to be successful in their housing, is an opportunity to be transitionally housed. And what does that mean? It means they're housed. We get to divert them from shelter, which is important, because we humans rise to the level of our environment, right? And having a dignified place they can call their own, and some privacy. But they also need that staff support. They may still be active in their addiction. They may have severe anxiety or depression. Um, they are not quite ready to be housed without those supports. And because addiction works the way it does, we know that 24-hour staffing available helps people who come into transitional housing stay accountable, if you will. And what I mean by that is, because homeless people know what it's like to be homeless, very often when they get housed, they invite their buddies over because they know what it feels like not to have a place. But very often that turns into more than what they've anticipated, and certainly what the neighbors want to deal with. So very often they can lose their housing quickly because of that. They'll get evicted because they've got too many people in their house. So they're being disruptive to the neighborhood, or for various other reasons, right? So having the 24/7 staff there and being involved in a program gives them the ability to say to their buddy, I can't let you in because I'm in this program, and they won't let you in, not me. And it just gives them an out. It's kind of like I used to do with my mom when I was a teenager. And if I didn't want to go to a thing, I'd have to ask her anyways and say, Mom, will you say no, I can't go because I don't want to go. And, it's just easier to blame it on your mother sometimes than to go through that. And I've heard lots of people who have been in transitional housing before in the past who, especially with people with an addiction, they're really grateful that they have that opportunity to say, no, I can't let you in because of the program. And we're happy to take the heat on that if it helps them. So transitional housing acts as sort of, I hate to use the word stabilization, but it describes it very well. We're giving people a chance to come out from the shelter, come off the street, catch your breath, be safe, have staff there to help you. Start maybe minimizing your drug use. Maybe you're going to want to get to treatment. Maybe you want to go to detox. Maybe now that you're housed, you're thinking, yeah, I think I want to go to detox. So here you go, off to detox. And with transitional housing, you can come back. You can go to treatment and come back. It's just a spot for people who will benefit from that place of exhale and rest and movement still, moving towards permanent housing, right? So the idea of transition is they're there for a short period of time. And we can't necessarily earmark that time because people will come with various complexities, right? And some people will come back, and that's okay. But it's it's not permanent housing. It's not called permanent housing because maybe they're not quite ready yet for that. Okay. And so the success of it is the 24/7 staffing support, and of course, all those resources and wraparound supports that we can offer to people once we have them in that environment, right? And there's lots of resources to do that with. So that's cool. So the city did approve a 6-month pilot on that, and we're excited to be working with the rest of our partners in the community on seeing how we can do that quickly. And yeah, it's a great way to start the new year. So the other option that people have is what we refer to as permanent supported housing. So this is a place where people can live forever if they want, but they will always have 24/7 supports. So that is for those high acuity people who have to have that support to be successful. Period. It's just like people with a mental illness that might be a bad one. They have to have staff with them 24/7. With the permanent supported housing, that's typically how they are able to sustain their housing. Those people are active in their addiction still. And so it is it's imperative that those staff are there. And that doesn't mean they're just basically, if they are always working on that intensive case management for everybody to, how can we help you get healthier? Maybe you're not going to quit using altogether, but maybe you're going to minimize your use. And we see that so often when people get housed and some of the stress starts to alleviate, where they find themselves in some sort of normalcy. That as that happens, without even thinking about it very often, they're minimizing their use. They're switching from Listerine to beer, which is a good harm reduction strategy. They have a home. We know the wonderful successes that permanent supported housing can offer to people. Safe Harbor used to run a house called Harbor House. That was exactly that. It was a permanent supported housing, and it was for 8 individuals. Unfortunately, it was an expensive model with the 24/7 staff, but it was also a wonderful model in that it was like a family.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes acted as a hospice. It was a great program. And we have right now in Red Deer the Amethyst House that Canadian Mental Health is operating. And that is a permanent supported housing project. And we just know that we need many more of them. The community has identified that need for a long time. We need more of those units. And that only makes sense as people have been getting sicker and sicker with addiction. And we need to be able to have supports for those people if we're going to house them successfully. So that was the other great thing about what happened at council is not only did they approve the transitional housing project, but they also said, hey, we totally get that Red Deer's got huge gaps in permanent supported housing. And we might have this transitional housing program, but until we get some permanent supported housing, where are we transitioning some of these people to, right? So they totally were on board with that whole idea. They're understanding the spectrum, the need to have different options, and really motivated to, okay, let's get going on this. And it's awesome. It's awesome. We're really happy. Did I talk too much?
No, it's good.
I don't think I shut up since we first started, did I?
No, since I said I take it away. But no, it's all good. So, Kath, how long is this with the transitional housing? Is this already going? Or when do you start?
No, it's not going. But I shouldn't say that. It's always been on the books, if you will. And at different times, we've had different opportunities. And so, what it needs mostly, of course, is funding and approval from council. Um, and so there are a few opportunities out there for us to do that. And what our next step is to sit with that wonderful crew at the city admin team, and the other partners in the community on housing. For instance, Mustard Seed and probably Canadian Mental Health. We know who we are, and we're going to get together and say, okay, cool, you guys, let's go. What are we going to do? Which part of this? How are we going to start it? How soon can we start it? Where's the stock? Is it available for quick move in? All of that sort of thing. How best can we spend this next 6 months and the money that city council has offered with it, right? So, yeah, excited to really take a nosedive into that. Yeah. One of the city's homeless plan values, the CHIP plan, one of the values is action, not talk. And I read that and I was like, right on. Okay, full steam ahead. Let's try and do stuff. Come on, you guys. Yeah, we got to have something good because it's January. And
absolutely.
I can't go to Mexico.
So, Kath, like how many? Like, I know you at the harbor. We have around 100 people in the shelter. So, like, how many will be expected to be in transitional housing?
Right. Well, if we talk about need, that's different than opportunity. The city talked about starting this pilot project with a minimum of 35 spaces. So that means in quite short order, they want to identify the availability of 35 spaces and to start there. And so for 6 months, that's ambitious, but we're all going to see what we can do as soon as we can do it.
Yeah.
Ideally, the need, as you talked about, here we have this many people in the shelter, for sure. There's a greater need. We probably need 60 more permanent supported housing units before we can start to make a dent, right? And if we have a couple of transitional housing units to help with that piece, then we'll have a stabilization people, or for people who, maybe they want to recover. They're tired. They want to start working on their recovery journey. They'd rather not go into permanent supported housing. They'd rather work towards the goal of being housed themselves with minimal support, right? So we want to just make sure that those options are there for when people are ready for them, for sure. And it's exciting because they're coming. And it's been, we've been talking about this, holy doodle, for a long time. So it's exciting.
So is there a kind of a screening or like an onboarding process that is already
Developed?
Yeah.
Well, we are really lucky. We have our partners at the Calgary Drop-In Center, who we're working really closely with. They initiated transitional housing right Chicken Louie when COVID hit, because they didn't have enough shelter spaces in Calgary to do the distancing that they needed, right? So they just got on fire, those guys, those little Calgary drop-in center guys, and said, okay, let's house people, right? They grabbed those low to mid acuity people, and that was their hyper focus. Get people housed right now, transitionally right now, right? And they did it. They had great success. And yeah, we were paying attention because that was pretty cool. So we have lots of expertise. We have policies and procedures from them. We have their model. We've been looking at that and want to make it a made in Red Deer model. Take all those pieces we can use and put them together so they'll fit our community. But yeah, we're really grateful the work they did. Alpha House in Calgary did the similar kind of work too. And Calgary Drop-In Center was also the wonderful people that came and helped us operate our shelter when we were having the severe shelter staff shortage because everybody thought they were going to lose their job every 2 months. So yeah, we love the Calgary drop-in, and yeah, we're excited to start working on this.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's awesome that we can really learn from each other, so that we don't. We know it's that system is working, so we know transitional housing works. So we can take over everything that they have learned and their procedures. That's awesome.
And you know what? That's nonprofits do. That's just in our DNA. We share, like, totally. The whole harbor has been built up on initially Alpha House's policies and procedures, Fort McLeod's, George Spady in Edmonton. Who else have we borrowed from? And they borrowed from us, right? Medical detox, for instance. We were kind of the first to switch from social to medical. So now that my peers are doing that, we're sharing our stuff back with them, right? So yeah, there's no ego as far as that in the nonprofit world because we don't have money to protect, I guess. But it's yeah, it's lovely when that happens because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can say, holy doodle, these guys did it like this. Okay, let's try that. Does this fit here? Well, kind of, but we're going to adjust it a little because of blah blah, and you're done, right? Like, yeah, we're pretty efficient, we nonprofits, man.
Yes, we are.
And we need each other, and we've always needed each other, right? So it's cool. It's a good community of support, and yeah, it's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm just checking. Are there any more questions? I'm just looking at the comments. Mel says, finally, more permanent supported housing is so needed. Hi, Scout.
Scout's going to be here to say steady as she goes when it's time.
Yeah. So guys, if you have any more questions, please put them in the comments as long as we are live. And if not, and you're watching the replay, of course, we will get back to you with that as well. Other than that,
can I just say a heads up too?
Yes,
for
please.
people who want to learn more about what's going on with housing in the city has a great website. There's lots of information on it, on permanent supported housing, transitional housing, that roadmap we showed you. Lots of really good information out there. So just a heads up on that. And a reminder that today at 4:00 is the public hearing. City Council will be listening to the public as they voice their concerns or comments on Safe Harbor staying in Cannery Row for the next 2 years. So yeah, on the city's website again, under public hearings, if you want to speak at the public hearing and show your support for us, that's awesome. If not, that's okay too, but cross your fingers and get your harbor lights on. We need bright lights on today at 4:00.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Kath. And for everyone listening today, thank you for joining us. And if you have time today, 4 p.m. Monday, January the 17th is the public hearing, and you can join live as well. And I don't know if it's possible to comment, but at least you can listen. Awesome. So we have more exciting things coming your way next week. And for now, I think we just say,
steady as she goes. Ahoy!
Ahoy!
Thanks.
Awesome. And as always, before you leave, everyone, please follow us on Facebook, and we also have a YouTube channel. I will post both in the comments as well as the links to the Red Deer City website with the links that Kath mentioned. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Okay, good.